Even in a hurricane, the stack must go on. Are you ready to stack those sats?
This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only. Nothing on this podcast should be construed as financial advice. All views expressed on this podcast are solely the opinions of the host and/or any guests that we might have from time to time. Nothing on this podcast should be construed as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or to follow a particular investing strategy.
Hello, you sexy sat stackers, and welcome to the Bitcoin Bulletin Podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 28th, 2022, and that means it is DCA Wednesday. As I mentioned in the lead-in, this is going to be short and sweet because we are in the middle of Hurricane Ian. In fact, we've lost power 3 times already in the last few minutes. It is currently back on, but I have no idea how much longer I'm going to have data, so I wanted to squeak this out as quickly as possible. I know there's a lot to talk about this week, but real quick, a fast overview of some of the vital statistics. As we speak, we are at a Bitcoin block height of 756,136, and Bitcoin is currently valued at $19,410 per Bitcoin, or 5,153 sats per dollar, 51.53 Moscow time. And for those of you who keep track, Bitcoin's currently had a market capitalization value of $371.98 billion. Of course, if you value your wealth in gold, it's going to cost you 11.8 ounces of gold to buy just one Bitcoin. And since we last spoke, in fact, just last night, we had a mining difficulty adjustment of minus 2.1%. So if you're mining at home, it just got 2.1% easier to mine a block. As a result, we are just under 2 weeks away from the next scheduled difficulty adjustment, and the estimates are all over the place. Not even really worth mentioning at this point in time. Depending where you look, it's going to be anywhere from a 1% increase to a 7% increase, but that is likely to change perhaps substantially because it is just too far to tell. We're 1,880 blocks away from that next difficulty adjustment. So in the news today, in the news all week, obviously the stock market just took a complete dump. It did recover a little bit today, as did the price of Bitcoin. Last night I was looking at Bitcoin and it was down as low as $18,100 US dollars per Bitcoin, and it is run all the way up to, it was pushing the $20,000 range just a little while ago, but it's back down to like $19,410 range. And if you're over in England, obviously the news is that the value of the British pound has just been absolutely tanking. As a result, the Bank of England announced that they are going to resume quantitative easing, purchasing up bonds. Allegedly, there were some pensions that were getting ready to collapse, and they said if they didn't resume purchasing bonds immediately, some pensions might have gone insolvent or are insolvent, and they're needing to prevent their collapse. Of course, Janet Yellen, the United States Treasury Secretary, just came out and said that everything is running normally in the markets and gave the proverbial nothing to see here. And then, of course, there were also headlines saying that they think she's looking to, quote-unquote, exit. So maybe she's planning on ducking out. But in the meantime, she's towing the line that this is the best economy in 40 years, as the current administration has been trying to let you believe. And even though the old definition of recession said the United States is already in a recession, we are doing just fine according to our administration. All right, so before I lose power again, because it just flickered, hopefully this is still streaming, we're going to stack sats, and I lost power to my computer, so I don't have my show notes. They just went completely away, but we are going to stack sats today using the Cash App, as always, and I do that just because I think Cash App is the easiest way for us to stack sats. It might not be available for a lot of you. It's not available in every country, but if it is available to you in the United States, I just like using Cash App. But as they say, do your own research, pick an app or an exchange that works best for you, and make that decision yourself. Cash App is not a sponsor, but if you do scroll down in the show notes, you'll notice that we do have a referral code for Cash App. If you don't have Cash App and you want to use Cash App and you use that referral code, you'll get $5 free just for doing so, and we'll get $5 free as well, and that'll be like tipping us $5 and actually getting paid to do it. So if you decide you want to stack using Cash App, using that referral code would be greatly appreciated. All right, so we've got our Cash App open, and we're going to make this purchase real fast. So I've got $20 loaded into my Cash App, and I'm hitting buy and entering $20, hitting confirm, and boom, just like that, we've purchased another 100,717 sats at a price of $19,410.81. And that is not quite as many sats as we purchased the last few days, but it's still a lot cheaper than we had purchased just a couple of months ago. Like I said, my computer blanked out and I don't have my show notes, so I can't tell how much that lowered our average cost basis, and I don't have any of those stats for you this week. I'm terribly sorry, but again, there's a hurricane raging out there, and I'm just hoping I get this finished before we lose power again. I had a UPS on my computer, but it apparently didn't like the surge, so my backup power for my computer is deceased, and my laptop is having issues connecting to the internet. So I'm using my iPhone to record this right now, and I still have 5G, so hopefully that'll last. But in the meantime, I do want to reach out and thank all of you who are listening in your favorite Podcasting 2.0 app. I know we have some of you who have been listening using Fountain and streaming us sats in the value for value method, so thank you to those of you who have done that. If you would like to reach out to us, I want to remind you that we are at BTC Bulletin Pod on Twitter, so please follow us on Twitter. And if you would like to make any suggestions about the podcast, what you'd like to hear me talk about, what you might not like about the podcast, please shoot me a DM. You can also contact me via email, and we are bitcoinbulletin@protonmail.com is my email address. That's bitcoinbulletin@protonmail.com. Again, sorry for keeping this short and sweet, but I wanted to say that even during a hurricane, the stack must go on. So the one statistic that I can parrot to you without even having my computer and my show notes up is that we have 100,717 more sats today than we had just yesterday. And again, hey, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully I'll be able to put out maybe a more detailed update in a day or so, but it looks like Hurricane Ian is going to keep slamming us for at least another 24 hours. I did actually stick my head out and walk around during a break in the storm about an hour ago, and there wasn't a whole lot of damage out there yet. But for us, where I'm at, the worst is yet to come. It's really just starting to get ugly out there right now. So again, thank you very much for listening. Please follow us on Twitter. Again, we're at BTC Bulletin on twitter.com, and we will talk to you at least next Wednesday for the next DCA Wednesday episode if I don't manage to get something out there sooner. But until then, keep on stacking those sats, you sexy sat stackers.